You gave her everything. The effort, the love, the support. You thought being a good man, loyal, committed, dependable, would be enough. But she still left. Not because you didn't do enough, but because what she needed had nothing to do with what you did. It was always about how she felt. And if you don't understand this one truth, that a woman's loyalty is tied to only one thing, you'll keep losing yourself trying to earn what was never based on effort. If this hits close to home, take a second to like this video, drop a comment, or share it with a friend who's been giving everything and still feeling lost. It might be exactly what he needs to hear today. Let's break this down, not just to understand women, but to reclaim your masculine energy and stop losing your value in the name of love. She's not loyal to what you do. She's loyal to what she feels. He gave her everything. Time, patience, gifts, kindness, support, even parts of himself he didn't know he was allowed to give away. And yet, she left. The man sat in silence, holding his breath, drowning in confusion. What did I do wrong? He asked. But that's the wrong question. It was never about how much he did. It was about how much she felt, and the feeling is what defines her loyalty. A woman isn't counting your sacrifices like receipts at the end of the month. She doesn't keep a ledger of how many flowers you bought, how many good mornings you texted, or how much effort you poured in. What sticks with her is how she felt in your presence. Did she feel femininity? Did she feel peace? Did she feel pressure disguised as love? Her emotions are the compass, not your checklist. This is where many men get trapped. They believe that being the nice guy will earn them approval and eventually loyalty. But validation built on performance is fragile. When neediness replaces confidence, when your love is used like currency, the attraction dies. Women don't run from love. They run from the weight of your emotional neediness. And no one teaches men that until it's too late. You were told to be her hero, but nobody told you how to be her rock. See, she doesn't need a rescuer. She needs emotional control, yours, not hers. When you're anxious, uncertain, always asking, "Are we okay?" you don't make her feel safe. You make her feel like the adult in the room. And when that happens, the masculine energy vanishes and the polarity breaks. That's when her heart slowly detaches. Here's the hard truth. The more you chase her with your heart in your hands, the less she wants to hold it. Why? Because it puts pressure on her. It's like whispering, "Please love me," with every gesture. And eventually, she doesn't hear love. She hears obligation. That's not attraction. It's anxiety. And women don't crave obligation. They crave certainty, clarity, and emotional direction. Let me paint it clearly. If every kind act is secretly a bid for closeness, she feel it. If every smile you give is asking for one back, she'll notice. And even if you say nothing, your neediness speaks louder than words. This doesn't mean closing off. It means embodying calm, cultivating stoicism, not coldness, but principles. Marcus Aurelius didn't live for applause. He lived with clarity and direction. You may think that love means giving endlessly, but if you give from emptiness, you're not giving, you're draining. That kind of fragility makes her feel like she has to carry the weight of your self-worth. No woman wants to mother her man. And when your sense of value depends on her recognition, you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. And every performance has an end. And here's something most men never realize. Even your silence speaks. Every pause, every glance, every time you ask, "Are you okay?" Without saying it, a woman feels it all. When your love is built on fear, she feels pressure, not peace. When your heart seeks validation through her approval, she doesn't feel femininity. She feels burdened. And sooner or later, her instincts will scream to run. And here, a quick pause. If this is opening your eyes to truths you've felt but couldn't name, don't scroll past it. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's been giving too much and still feeling empty. This could be the moment that flips their story. Let's keep going. A man rooted in Stoicism doesn't love less. He loves stronger because he's not shaken by waves. His emotions don't control his decisions. He gives freely, not to be liked, but because it aligns with his principles. And here's the twist. When you stop chasing recognition, that's when it often comes. Why? because you've stopped making her your purpose. You've made life your mission, and she respects that. When a woman says, "I just didn't feel the same anymore," most men think it's about some external change, but it's almost always internal. The polarity shifted. Her feelings changed not because of what you did wrong, but because of what you did trying too hard to be right. Attraction doesn't live in effort. It lives in certainty, in your grounded masculine energy, in your refusal to crumble under pressure. Think of it like this. She's not waiting for you to be perfect. She's watching how you handle not being perfect. When things go sideways, do you fall apart, or do you hold your emotional control? Do you stay true to your direction, or beg her to stay? If your sense of value falls every time she's upset, you lose respect. And when that's gone, loyalty won't survive. One man, let's call him Evan, lived this firsthand. He poured everything into a woman. Trips, messages, long talks, emotional confessions. At first, she appreciated it, but slowly she grew distant. Not because he stopped loving her, but because he started losing himself. His neediness masked itself as care. His daily calls felt less like affection and more like anxiety. Until she finally said, "I can't breathe." It crushed him. But when Evan stepped back, got therapy, and started rebuilding his mission, not to win her back, but to find himself, something shifted. He reconnected with his purpose. He stopped seeking validation. He reclaimed his boundaries. Months later, she reached out again, not because he begged, but because he had become magnetic. A man on fire with clarity, not crawling in pain. So what does this tell you? That women are not cruel for pulling away. They're responding to energy, to direction, to the emotional weight we put in their hands without even realizing it. She wants to feel safe, not smothered. She wants to be invited into a world that's already moving, not be the reason it exists. And when you get that, her loyalty becomes effortless, organic, natural. There's a big difference between being emotionally available and being emotionally overwhelming. One builds connection, the other creates emotional fatigue. When a man turns every moment into emotional dumping, it shifts the balance. She starts to feel like his therapist, not his partner, and that kills attraction. A woman craves shared emotions, not being the container for someone else's storm. Sharing emotions isn't weakness, but timing and delivery matter. When you speak with clarity instead of chaos, she feels safe. When you lead with certainty instead of confusion, she feels peace. Masculine energy isn't about being emotionless. It's about emotional control. Let her feel your truth, not your instability. That's what makes her trust your value, not your vulnerability alone. Many men sacrifice their mission in the name of love. They quit the gym, abandon goals, stop growing. They pour themselves into her, thinking that's what she wants. But slowly, she starts to suffocate. Not because he loves her too much, but because he lost himself. A woman doesn't want to be the center of his life. She wants to feel part of something bigger than herself. When he stops leading himself, she stops following. That's the truth. Without direction, he becomes emotionally dependent. And without boundaries, she stops seeing him as grounded. She may not say it out loud, but her respect begins to fade. And loyalty never stays where there's no respect. Even if he's full of love, if he's lost in neediness, she'll emotionally walk away first. Overgiving doesn't come from strength. It comes from fear. Fear of loss, fear of not being enough. That neediness shows up in gifts, texts, constant attention. But it doesn't feel like love. It feels like pressure. And pressure suffocates attraction. When a man gives from insecurity, not from fullness, she doesn't feel peace. She feels like she's being used to fill his emptiness. Your worth is not measured by how much you bend to please. It's shown in how you stand firm in your principles. Stoicism teaches strength through balance, not coldness, but composed presence. When you operate with emotional control, you lead without controlling. That's masculine energy in motion. It brings safety, not tension. It builds respect, not resistance. And that creates space for love. A woman doesn't always hear your words. She feels your alignment. If your direction is unclear, she feels lost with you. If your life is centered, she'll want to orbit around it. That's how attraction works. It's not logical. It's energetic. When she sees you chasing purpose, not just her, she feels drawn in. Because you're offering her certainty, not chasing validation. Many men confuse intensity with intimacy. They think if they give more, feel more, open up more, she'll stay. But too much, too soon, too desperately. It doesn't feel like love. It feels like fragility. A woman wants depth, not chaos. She values emotions when they come with clarity. If you can't hold your own pain, she won't feel safe letting you hold hers. When your identity depends on her reactions, you've lost control. If her silence breaks your emotional control, if her mood dictates your day, that's not connection, that's dependence. A man rooted in Stoicism keeps his power close, not to hide, but to lead, not to dominate, but to stay steady. That's what inspires respect, and without respect, there's no sustainable loyalty. It's not about playing games or being distant. It's about being whole, with or without her. If your mission stops when she enters the room, she'll lose interest fast. She needs to feel your value is rooted in something deeper than her attention, that you'd still move, still grow, still build even if she walked away. That certainty is magnetic, and she'll feel it before you ever say a word. Let's make this clear. She's not testing you with cruelty. She's responding to energy, and energy doesn't lie. When your masculine energy becomes inconsistent, when your boundaries fade, she feels it in her body. That's when doubt creeps in. That's when her feeling shifts from safe to pressured. And once the shift begins, it rarely reverses, unless you shift with it. If what you're hearing right now is hitting that nerve, that deep, this explains everything kind of moment, don't ignore it. Like the video, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear the truth before it's too late. There's still more to unlock. Let's keep going. Start noticing what your habits communicate. Not your words, your energy. Are you walking in direction or drifting for attention? Are you holding your principles or breaking them to avoid conflict? A woman can feel when you're betraying yourself. And the moment she senses you've abandoned your own truth, her respect begins to evaporate. Slowly, quietly, but surely. Your silence speaks. Your posture speaks. Your consistency speaks. You don't need to explain yourself when your value is demonstrated in how you live. Recognition comes when you're not chasing it. And ironically, the moment you no longer need her approval ... is often the moment she starts getting it. Because now she sees you, not a performer, not a pleaser, but a grounded man. So when she says, "It's not you, it's me," don't rush to fix it. Listen deeper. Sometimes it means I stopped feeling something, and that something was often created by your shift in energy, from bold to fearful, from leader to follower, from clarity to confusion. And now, it's time to stop blaming and start aligning. Loyalty doesn't follow effort, it follows essence. She doesn't need you to be perfect, she needs you to be real, not in the broken, apologetic way, but in the solid, honest, aligned with your principles kind of way. The version of you that doesn't flinch under pressure, that speaks with clarity, that owns his story without drowning in it. That's masculine energy. That's what awakens the femininity in her. And what about vulnerability? It's not weakness. It's power when framed with intention. Don't weaponize your wounds or use them to get sympathy. Share with strength. Let her feel your depth without dumping your darkness. That's how you create intimacy without chaos. That's how you lead with stoicism without turning to stone. You're not hiding emotion. You're channeling it with direction. Some men will keep chasing recognition, molding themselves to keep her happy. But eventually, they'll burn out, exhausted from becoming what she never asked for. Others will finally wake up. They'll stop performing and start leading. They'll rediscover their mission. They'll walk with certainty. And without saying a word, the woman beside them will begin to walk differently too. She was never looking for a savior. She was searching for something that could only be felt. Stability, peace, purpose. A man who made her feel lighter, not heavier. Whose presence brought her back into her femininity instead of forcing her to survive in his storm. And once she finds that ... the game changes. And what comes next? Well, you'll want to be ready for it. So now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? Will you keep chasing validation through effort, and calling it love? Will you keep abandoning your mission to prove your worth? Or will you finally reclaim your value, set your boundaries, and walk with the kind of clarity that commands respect without begging for? Tell me in the comments, what's one thing you'll stop doing today to protect your masculine energy? Or, if you want to go deeper, comment, no more chasing, I lead now. If you've made it this far, I truly want to thank you. It means you're not just watching, you're evolving. And that takes emotional strength. If this message helped you, even just a little, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who might be walking this same path in silence. You never know how far a single message can go when it's shared from the heart.